one of the things that happens when you put in a zipper is the fabric begins to buckle, and people have a hard time putting zippers in sometimes because they think they can't go straight, or the bottom of the fabric when they're stitching twists to the top and you have this ripply look. So let me tell you one of the secrets, and that is to stabilize the back of your seam allowance. So where you're going to put your zipper in, this is a fusible knit tape, and it's already this size. It's I think it's a 1 inch or 1 1/4 inch wide tape, and it's a knit, so it's nice and flexible, and it fuses to the fabric. And if you will fuse that to your fabric edge, that will help. And you really only need to fuse it down to the bottom where the zipper is. You don't have to fuse all the way down to the back of the seam. I'm going to first show you the invisible zipper. I talked about the invisible zipper in this last segment that I just had, but I want you to know that how to do it on the machine and the kind of the different things that happen with it. First of all, the way that I was showing you, that was just a plain fabric. But I'll tell you what happens sometimes with a plaid is that you end up with the plaids, they have to meet. So I have a way of matching that plaid up that will help. First of all, you're going to, remember how I told you, you're going to put the zipper, the flat part of the front, the right side of the zipper down to the right side of the fabric, and you're going to stitch that. The other thing that you're going to do is have a special foot. If you have a invisible zipper, you need a foot that tracks over the ridge of this teeth. And now on the instructions, it's going to tell you to go to the iron and press down this part, the teeth. Just be careful that you don't press with a real hot iron, because it could melt some of the plastic on that teeth. I have not found that I needed to press that down, but it depends on your foot. You need to be sure that the foot has a good little ridge. This foot right here has a neat little ridge that is perfect for this. And this actually comes with the comes as a purchase for the sewing machine, but you can purchase these zippers with in the notions part with the zippers. So you can get the foot that way. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, in order to line up these plaid marks, I'm going to I got one side sewn, and then I'm going to close up the zipper, and I'm going to turn the plaid over, and I'm going to mark each one of those plaid markings where I want to match that. Okay, and if you have a seam, you can do the same thing. Then I have to open this, and by the way, when you do an invisible zipper, you do not put the seam together first of your back. Do not put the back seam together. You're going to leave all of the back open, and then you're going to do the very bottom at the last thing that you do. Okay, so now I have one side on, and I have my marks on here, and now I'm going to bring my right side to the right side of this zipper. So here again, my right side to the edge of the zipper. So here it is. Right side. So now my right side is down, and my zipper tape is right side up in order to get them to match. Okay? Be sure that you're matching your seams. Okay, now I'm going to flip it back over, and I'm going to start, and I want to show you how this works. And we're going to line this little groove right up with that tape. So this little groove is going to guide that tape, and I don't have to do a thing. Now, in some cases, you may need to I don't know what I was going to say. I'm sorry. Anyway, we're going to just line this tape up. And here is my mark, my first mark, and I want to make my mark and my plaid meet exactly where that is, because that first one is very important. And oh, I know what I was going to say. You may want to take your stitch length just a slight amount longer, just because sometimes the stitch lengths are so tight that it makes it kind of hard. Okay, so see how easy that is? That's just tracking. Now, this is when I start to make sure that my lines are matching my plaid. So as I stitch down here, I want to be sure that my tape is not moving. So each one, now did you notice I did not pin? I don't pin when it comes to a zipper. I don't know why, but it works better for me. And you know what? We're all different, but for me that works. Okay, now I'm going to go all the way to, now do you see where my tab is? It's right at the very bottom, and I'm stitching all the way to that tab. Now I'm going to back stitch for a second, and then I'm going to get out of this, and now let's see how I did. I'm going to zip it up. Not too bad. See the plaids? That's very important if you have a plaid. You've got to have that line up, because look how the zipper disappeared. Unless you pull it, you don't see that zipper at all. All you see is that cute little tab right there. So now to do the very bottom of this zipper, I'm going to have to change my foot. And I'm going to change it to this foot that will have a little screw in it. So I'll be right back after I change this foot. Okay, now I have changed my foot to this little thin streamlined foot here. And some machines have different ones. I just want to make sure that you know that this needs to be a very streamlined foot with no edges on it, because what you're going to do is you're going to bring that fabric right up against the seam. I mean, not the seam, the zipper tape. Okay, so now this is where I'm going to be sure that I am secure right on the very point where I stopped my zipper tape and stop stitching, where the zipper tape and the tab went. And now I'm just going to stitch, and again I'm going to back stitch, or I'm going to take a really tiny little stitch and then straighten up. And then the only other thing that you want to be sure that you do is make sure that you are not following the wrong side of the seam allowance here, because your foot has got you over just a little bit different than if you have a regular foot on. So don't try to line yourself up with a 5/8 or whatever. Just follow where you were on the zipper center and you'll be fine. Okay, so now we have this zipper done, and all you need to do is come back in and stitch right along the side of that tape at the very bottom, because that part is loose still and it is really beyond the bottom. So this is not, that's the part that's secure. Just secure the tape to the seam allowance on both sides, and then you are good to go, and you are going to have a nice perfect little zipper in there. Now this is the thing I wanted to make sure that you knew, is that that's the same way that you line up like a seam. So here's like a block, a top and a bottom. Here you can hardly see that zipper in there, and if you take a look, remember what I said to mark, that you would do the very same thing to mark that edge.